Board of County Commissioners acts as a quasi-judicial body when it hears requests for rezoning and conditional use permits. Applicants must provide competent, substantial evidence establishing facts or expert witness opinion testimony showing that the request meets the zoning code and comprehensive plan criteria. Opponents must also testify as to facts or provide expert testimony whether they like or dislike a request is not competent evidence. The board must then decide whether the evidence demonstrates consistency and compatibility with the comprehensive plan and the existing rules in the zoning ordinance, property adjacent to the property to be rezoned, and the actual development of the surrounding area. The board cannot consider speculation, non-expert opinion testimony, or poll the audience by asking those in favor or opposed to stand up or raise their hands. If a commissioner has had communications regarding a rezoning or conditional use permit request before the board, the commissioner must disclose the subject of the communication and the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom the communication took place before the board takes action on the request. Likewise, if a commissioner has made a site visit, inspection, or investigation, the commissioner must disclose that fact before the board takes action on the request. Each applicant is allowed a total of 15 minutes to present their request, unless time is extended by majority vote of the board. The applicant may reserve any portion of the 15 minutes for rebuttal. Other speakers are allowed 5 minutes to speak. Speakers may not pass their time to someone else in order to give that person more time to speak.
Good evening and welcome to the Planning and Zoning meeting for the Board of County Commissioners. We have a quorum. We'll call the meeting to order. Please join consent agenda tonight. Is there anything anybody wants to take off consent agenda? Is there a motion for, and I don't think we have cards, do we? Do we have? Okay, thank you. Is there a motion for consent agenda?
A motion to approve consent.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Atkinson. We have a second by Commissioner Delaney. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson.
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson.
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes, we'll show that passes 4-0. Thank you. Do we have any cards on the G section?
Nothing on G.
No? Okay, very good. All right, Commissioners, we're going to go to H1. And Trina.
Item H1, Casabella Development LLC, being represented by Kim Rezanka, requesting a zoning classification change from BU-1-A to RU-2-6 under application 24Z00064, located in District 4.
Okay, Kim, you're recognized.
Court reporter asked me to wait a minute.
Oh, all right.
No? First I knew.
Are we all set?
Just one moment, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, so
You're,
sorry.
you're here for item H2, correct?
H1.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think I have other cards on H1, other than the applicant.
Nathan Maloon is here. I don't know if he is the one that's here for Weiderman Malik.
Okay. Are we set?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Felter, members of the County Commission. My name is Kim Rezanka with Lacey Rezanka, 6013 Farsenda Place in Melbourne, Florida. I'm here on behalf of DePrima Construction Corp., which is the contract purchaser for the property owned by Ron Levy. This parcel is 5 acres. It's currently zoned BU1A, Restricted Neighborhood Retail, and we're seeking RU26 to build townhomes. According to the staff report, currently, we did this under Live Local, we could have 30 units to the acre based upon the residential 15 to the future land use to the west, but we are seeking just RU26, which would limit it to 30 units. We have provided a concept plan without any engineering that shows 20 units, but it does show the buffering. It's avoiding the impacts to the wetlands. And it's the desire of DePrima Construction to build 20 to 30 townhomes. They will be 2-story. They will have a sale price of approximately $600,000, and it will have 2-car garages. With me today is Dimar Hahn, who's the Chief Operating Officer of DePrima Construction Corp., and Evan McLuhan, who is also with DePrima Construction Corp. This is on Wickham Road. It's across from the post office near a 3-story apartments legacy at Oakwood. It's adjacent to RU111, the Casabella Development. The RU111 allows 7,500 square foot lots, 1,100 square foot minimum. This is to the north of the Casabella office complex. And as you see from what it's in your aerial map on page 65 of your agenda packet, this is a large vacant lot. This is actually not part of the Casabella office complex, but part of the Casabella plat to the west. It's donated as E for future development. It's not platted at this time. When it does go to townhomes, it will be platted for townhomes, and it will be single-family ownership. The reason this is requesting for townhomes is because the need for commercial in this area isn't existing right now. There's actually a pad still on the Casabella office complex that's vacant. No one's chose to build it. If you look at page 69 of your agenda packet, that is part of the Casabella Phase 3 plat. It shows the 50-foot buffer to the west of this property to show that there will be a substantial buffer between this townhome project and the single-family homes to the west. You'll see on page 70, that is the parcel itself. It does show the wetland there to the south, and this is what is to be avoided with the townhome project. Page 71 of your agenda packet shows just the concept plan of what could be with the townhomes. We did provide a traffic generation analysis. There's 2 pages we submitted to P&Z, but the entire packet has been submitted as well that shows this will be a substantial reduction in traffic from what could be there should there be a commercial center there. Commercial center could be as large as 163,000 square feet and have net new trips of 7,127 trips. This will only generate 216 new trips a day. So this is a much less intense use on a road, Wickham, that, especially at this area, can be very challenging at rush hour traffic. According to the staff report, this is a mixed-use area. There are no concurrency issues, and there are no material violations of comp plan policies. With that, we can answer any questions, and if there are no questions, we request approval of the rezoning from BU1A to RU26.
Okay, commissioners, questions for the applicant? I think we had talked once before possibly about a BDP, no short-term rental. I think the neighborhood next door would.
And that's fine.
Okay, you would agree to that?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think we have any other cards on this one. Is there any discussion on this item? No? Okay. Commissioners, it's my district, and I'm fine with this. So approval with the BDP to restrict no short-term rental.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone want to make that motion? No?
I would
Okay.
like to make that motion.
Okay. All right. Very good. We have a motion by Commissioner Delaney. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson.
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes, we'll show that passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, we're going to go to H11, if you don't mind. And Trina?
Item H11 is Linde, Inc., being represented by Kim Rezanka, requests a conditional use permit, CUP, for IU-1 heavy industrial under application 25Z00017, located in District 1.
I know you didn't think we were going to get there that fast. Okay, Kim.
Good evening, Chairman Feltner, member of County Commission. My name is Kim Rezanka. I'm here on behalf of Linde, Inc., with the firm of Lacey Rezanka, 6013 Farsenda Place, Melbourne, Florida. Here with me also from Linde, Inc. is Dave Yelgeski, who is the Director of Capital Improvements, and Sean Chase, who is the supervisor at this particular plant in Mims, Florida. We were back before you in January for the rezoning and comp plan change to heavy industrial. This was part 2. This is the conditional use permit. At the time we came before you, we didn't have a site plan. Now we do. That's been presented to you. It's at page 474 of your agenda packet, and I do have other copies for you as well, in case your screen is too small, but I'll pass those out in a minute. So on January 13th of 2025, this was approved for future land use and zoning of heavy industrial. This is on 10.46 acres of the north parcel owned by Linde. The south parcel already has a CUP and has an existing industrial gas manufacturing plant. This is basically expanding the plant to allow for additional gas production because of all of the activity at the Space Center. SpaceX is one of their major customers, and SpaceX has submitted a letter of recommendation asking for support for this, as has 2 other of their customers from the Space Center. This is located in North Mims. It's been existing since 1965 or 66, and we do need the conditional use to do this chemical manufacturing. But there are no specific requirements in the conditional use application. This is one of the odd conditional use ordinances that has no specific criteria. So it's up to you to put any criteria on it that you might think would be appropriate. They do have to meet the performance standards of the county code. They do have to meet all safety regulations. They have to have a state permit. They have to have an ERP permit. So there's a lot of permitting agencies that oversee this regulation. I'm going to ask Dave Yagleski, I apologize if I messed up your name, to come up. Again, he is the Director of Capital Improvements for Linde, and he'll tell you a little bit about the Linde operation and why this expansion is necessary. And you just hit the enter button.
Okay.
You
I
recognize, sir?
appreciate the time
Yep.
tonight for you to consider our conditional use permit. When I was here last time in January, we talked about what Linde does. We're the world's largest industrial gas company, and really simply, we take air and separate it into its constituents, oxygen, nitrogen, argon, and allow manufacturing processes and things like space launch to happen. They use the oxygen that we generate there. Our plant has been there since 1965. We've done, in the past 6 years, 2 other expansions already. This would be our 3rd, in order for us to continue to support the markets that we supply, on top of the aerospace industry. We do supply steel, gas, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors. So there's a wide range of users of our products. And I'm flipping through the slides, which I know we showed last time, so I don't know how much more you want to hear about it, but a lot of different uses. This is showing an example, not the exact plant that we're going to install, but a similar facility that we're putting in. So we really take the air, separate it, liquefy it, so it's easily transported to where it's being used. So we'd be trucking the products over to customers throughout Florida and the Space Center as well. This is the existing facility that we have there today, and we would be expanding to what is the left of the photograph, which is to the north. So,
Okay. Questions? Other questions for the applicant? Any questions for the applicant? We do have a card, so let's go to the.
I'm not
okay.
done yet.
I'm
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Again, Kim Rezanka, what I've provided you is a copy of the site plan. It says it's conditional use concept plan, but this is the site plan. This is what their Kimley Horn is in process of designing with the addition to the north there. We do have some issues that have to be addressed, such as the paving of the road, some distance separations from residential property and things like that. The big issue that has continually come up is the concern for traffic at US 1 and Wiley. So we did hire a traffic engineer, Walsh Traffic Engineering. He just got this to me yesterday. I apologize for not getting it to you sooner. But FDOT did a study at this intersection in spring of last year, 2024, and he was able to review that. He reviewed the crash reports. They went out there to do a traffic count, but it was shut down because they're doing some, what do they call it, resurfacing. So he went through this. He looked at the 4-year crash data, said there was no crash trend identified. This is a 65 mile an hour speed zone, but FDOT did not see a need to reduce that based upon what Mr. Walsh said is they're doing this resurfacing. If they thought there was a need to reduce it, they would have done it during this resurfacing project. So on page 2, Mr. Walsh states that based upon the review of the study, the fact that the existing unsignalized minor street stop controlled full median opening is being maintained under FDOT's milling and resurfacing project, and that the proposed Linde facility expansion will marginally increase traffic at US 1 and Wiley. No improvements are recommended at this intersection. Currently, there are approximately 2 trucks a day, an hour, going through that intersection, so 24 or 48 trucks a day. This will increase to about 90 trucks a day. And it's still very minimal for the traffic coming out of there. At Planning and Zoning, we had Michael Ashton from Linde talk about how they've had no serious injuries in a very long time, no serious truck issues in over 10 years. There are multiple safety mechanisms in these trucks to prevent any accidents. I also did want to briefly talk about the staff analysis and the staff report. That this use can be considered compatible with the character. There is residents in the area, but it's very nominal. The closest house is 500 feet from here, and then others are half a mile away. And this has been here first. This was here a long, long time ago before these other houses came in. Preliminary occurrence review says there's no potential to cause deficiencies in traffic. There's access to potable water. Their need to comply with performance standards, but these are the same impacts for this conditional use that already exist. The CUP review, again, says no substantial impact on adjacent or nearby properties. It's anticipated 9 to 15 new employees on 8-hour shifts, so there's not going to be a lot of employee traffic either. There's no odor, particles, smoke, or fumes from this facility. The noise would be of the same type. There's no adjacent residential, and the hours of operations have been the same historically. With that, we would request approval of the conditional use permit.
Okay, commissioners, questions for the applicant? Okay, we have one card. Sandra Sullivan.
Sandra Sullivan, the person who likes accountability and transparency. So that site you're showing right there, that's not the parcel we're talking about. We're talking about to the north. So it would have been good to include the diagram that was in the agenda packet that showed the lot towards the north. So I just want to bring up, we've seen a lot of media attention to an LNG plant and a lot of discussion about that on social media. And it's kind of like, look over here, but this is happening over here. So I just wanted to say that I actually think this is a good location, but I just wanted just the way we went about this. So when this came before P&Z, it was like, oh, we're just expanding our operations from something that was zoned, before a comprehensive plan, so not consistent with the surrounding area. So residential was rezoned, utility. So the statements made at that time and the questions that was asked was this was going to expand this particular plant with liquid oxygen. But now we see it's liquefied natural gas. And I just think when we do these things, this should have had the right location to the north, which there's a street up there and there's some residences. Now, the good news is this is very low residential. There isn't a lot of residential. To the west is wetlands. So, I do think it's a good location. I'd just like to see, a little bit more transparency and accuracy for the benefit of the public. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, in discussion, commissioners. Any discussion on the item? Okay, is there a motion?
I'd like to move to approve a conditional use permit for IU1.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Delaney. We have a second by Commissioner Goodson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes, we'll show that passes 4-0. Thank you. Commissioners, I think we had a request from applicants on H4 to table, right? And so should we read it in and then we'll vote to table that? Is that, okay, Trina, go ahead on H4.
Item H4, Thomas Daugherty requests a change in zoning classification from GU to RU-1-11 under application 25Z00007, located in District 1.
Okay. Commissioner Delaney, that's your district. I've got a letter I think we received here that they want to table.
Yes.
Is that-
I'm
you wanna
okay
do
with that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Delaney to
Yes,
table.
motion to
And do we
table.
need to table to a future meeting, or we can just table it? Just correct
You need
us
to,
here.
to avoid re-advertising if you
Okay.
continue it to a specific meeting. Which meeting should that be continued to, Trina?
It actually will need to be re-advertised. He amended
Oh,
his
that's right, because he's
application.
amending the application to RU1, so
Okay,
it needs to be re-advertised anyway, so just
okay.
continue.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Delaney. Is there a second to table the item? Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson. Yep. Chairman Feltner.
Yes, we'll show that one 4-0. I think also, just to be efficient here, I think H8, didn't we also have a request
Yes.
to table? Okay, you want to read that one in, and then we'll,
Item H8, Emerald Plaza Development Incorporated, represented by Louis Rapasta, requests a CUP, conditional use permit for alcoholic beverages for on-premise consumption accessory to a cigar bar in units 1 through 5 under application 25Z00014, located in District 2.
Okay, Commissioner Goodson, this is your district.
Yep.
You okay with tabling it?
Yes, so moved.
That's, okay,
Second.
we have a motion by Commissioner Goodson. We have a second by Commissioner Delaney.
Sorry,
I'm
this one we should have a specific meeting
Thank you.
for, correct?
August 7th. August
Okay.
7th.
Sir, you want to amend that to continue,
Sure.
to the
Amended to
August?
August 7th.
August 7th. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Goodson. We have a second by Commissioner Delaney. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes, and we'll show that, passes 4-0. Okay, we don't, let's go to item H2.
Item H2, Aubri Williamson. She's being represented by Attorney Malone, requests a change of zoning classification from RU-1-9 to RU-2-10 under application 24Z00052, located in District 5.
Sir, you recognized?
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. We're here on a one parcel in just north of Indy Atlantic in the unincorporated county, just to the west of Grosse Pointe Avenue, near where the Long Doggers is in Indy Atlantic. What we're seeking to do here is to make the property compatible and consistent with the neighboring uses. Specifically, the property to the north is a daycare center. The property to the east is has similar zoning, and it's more as you get to the west. There's the R1 zoning. At the Planning and Zoning meeting, we did ask, and we stipulated to a BDP that will remain with one property, with one structure, one principal structure on the property, single family, one story, just like it is. This was built in 1952. And pretty simple request. Happy to answer any questions. Aubri Williamson, the property owner, is here. It's planning, again, there's a stipulation for a BDP with no vacation rentals, with no resort dwelling use. There's a current long-term tenant that's under lease for the property for, I believe it's a year. Again, happy to answer any questions, and we would ask that the commission approve this.
Okay, are there questions for the applicant?
I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Atkinson.
So changing this zoning, what does it do for the owner?
Yeah, we're trying to make it compatible and consistent with the other uses in the area, specifically the daycare across the street. The intent is to keep using this as a single-family home. But I saw the same thing in the agenda packet, and essentially what it does is it allows for the same, for the use and for it to be consistent. This house was built back in 1952. There was a rezoning done in 1976, and just in looking at it and what we've done, was making sure that it could be compatible and consistent with the area.
So is there anything that this new zoning will allow her to do that she can't do right now?
No, I don't believe so.
Other questions for the applicant? No, Commissioner Altman couldn't make it here this evening, but Commissioners, we have this before us. So I don't have, I'm sorry, I have one card. James Eric Prey. Did I say that? Prey?
Good afternoon. I'm James Priest. I live somewhere else, but I own the property that's 2 units from Ms. Williamson's. That's at 198 Grosse Pointe, and all the units that are in that area are on the north side of Franklin are RU-210. I don't see any reason why she shouldn't be able to get hers changed to that, and really, there shouldn't be any kind of BDP or anything put on the property because nobody else has that in the area, and the other ones nearby are RU-212. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Commissioners, in discussion, is there any discussion on the item? Is there a motion on the item? We have a motion by Commissioner Goodson. Is there a second?
Just have a question. I
Okay.
apologize. With the motion, are we saying that there is a BDP on the property to keep out short-term rentals?
Okay. Commissioner Goodson,
Yes, I will
is,
amend it to read that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Goodson amended his motion to include BDP on the short-term rental.
And I second.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Sir.
Does the BDP include all three conditions that were recommended by LPA? That's not to be used for resort dwellings, limited to one single-family unit, and it would be a single-story structure, or are we just doing the BDP for the vacation rentals?
No, I'll amend it for all three.
thank
I'll amend it for all three.
And I will second that.
Okay, Commissioner Goodson amends his motion to include all three of those conditions. Commissioner Atkinson seconds. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner,
Yes. And we will show that passes 4-0. Okay, very good. We'll go on to H3.
Item H3, Quentin Bessent Jr. requests a change of zoning classification from AU to RU-1-11 under application 25Z00006, located in District 1.
Sir, you're recognized.
Hello, I would just like to do a single-family resident home, so I'd like to change from AU to RU-1-11.
All right, very good. Are there questions for the applicant? I don't think we have any other cards but the applicant. Is there any discussion on the item? Commissioner Delaney, it's your district.
I'd like to move to approve the zoning change from AU to RU-1-11.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Delaney.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. Sir, congratulations.
Thank you. Have
Thanks.
a good day.
Thanks for being here today. Okay, Commissioners, we will go to H5. H5, Trina.
Item H5, John A. and Christine S. Conley, being represented by Ken Ludwa and/or Savannah Farley, requesting a zoning classification change from BU-2 to RU-1-11 under application 25Z00010, located in District 2.
Ma'am, you recognized.
Good evening. My name is Savannah Farley. I'm with BSE Consultants, representing the owner. They're looking to rezone this property from BU2 to RU1-11.
Okay. Are there questions for the applicant? No, I don't think we have any other cards. Is there any discussion on the item? Commissioner Goodson,
Yes,
sir?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Goodson. I think I heard a second.
Second.
Did I? Okay. Commissioner Delaney, second. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, Commissioners, we will go to H6.
Item H6, Stephen Schultz Jr. requests a zoning classification change from AU to RU-1-13 under application 25Z00011, located in District 5.
You recognize, sir.
Steve Schultz, 275 Gray Road, Melbourne. I'm trying to do an addition to my house. They said it wasn't zoned properly, so I have to rezone.
Okay. Is there any questions for the applicant? I don't have any other cards than the applicant. Is there any discussion on the item? Is there a motion on the item?
Second.
All right. I have a motion by Commissioner Atkinson. I have a second by Commissioner Delaney. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. Sir, you did a good job.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Yes, but that's okay. All right. Commissioners, we will go to H7.
Item H7 is Eduardo Bertot and Brett Bertot request a zoning classification change from BU-1 and RU-2-10 to all RU-2-10 under application 25Z00012, located in District 1.
Okay. District. No, we're on 7, H7. Yeah, it's D1. It's D1. You're Brett?
Yes.
Yes,
Brett.
sir. Okay, you recognize, sir.
Okay, so the property currently has 2 zonings on it, and it has an existing triplex, and I would like to change it to all RU2-10.
Okay. Are there questions for the applicant? I don't think we have any other cards on this one. Is there discussion on the item? Is there a motion for the item?
I'd like to move to approve the zoning zoning classification change from BU1 and RU210 to all RU210.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Delaney. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson.
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. We'll show that passes 4-0. Congratulations, sir. Okay, commissioners, we're going to go to,
These are 9s, so we're still on 8. Don't worry.
no, we tabled 8.
Oh, there we go, the 9.
Sorry,
Yep.
H9. Go ahead, Trina.
Item H9 and H10, I will read in together. They're companion applications, but they will need separate approvals. CTX Equities Incorporated, being represented by Custom Built Contracting, request a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment under 25S.09 to change the future land use designation from NC and CC to all CC under application 25 SS00003, located in District 1. CTX Equities Incorporated requests a change of zoning classification from GU and BU2 to all BU2 under application 25Z00013, located in District 1.
Okay, I have Chad and James. Which one are you, sir? You're James?
So I'm James.
Okay.
I'm the representative of the builder, and
Okay.
Chad's the owner.
Okay. You're recognized, sir, to explain your item. Okay.
We just want to rezone it from the general use to the BU2, please.
Okay. Are there questions for the applicants? Commissioner Delaney.
I was just curious what you guys are planning to do here.
We're building a 12,000 square foot shop, I guess is the best way to work on semi-trailers. And that's about it.
Awesome.
Are there other questions for the applicants? I don't have any other cards except these 2 gentlemen. Is there discussion on the item?
The only discussion I have on this was, I saw that there's a pretty good amount of wetlands on here. And so as far as that goes,
We have it all surveyed and all flagged out, and everything's going to be outside of the
outside the wetlands.
the wetlands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, with that, I would like to, if nobody else has any.
I will say one more thing.
Sure.
You may have addressed it, but we are also H10, which is a land, is a, not a use, yeah, okay.
That's your companion
I didn't-
item.
I
Well,
didn't-
let's do these. So we'll do H9, then we'll do the next one. On H9, Commissioner.
I would like to make a motion to change the future land use designation from NC and CC to all CC.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Delaney. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes, we'll show that one passes 4-0. Let's go to, so H10. Do we need to read that again, or? Trina, do we need to say anything else on H10, the companion? Or we're set?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your last.
Do we need to read H10 again, or we're okay on the companion?
No, sir, I've already
Okay,
read it
okay,
into
all
the
right.
record.
Just want to make sure. Okay. Any other questions on this item, on H10? Okay. I don't have any other cards. Any discussion on H10? Commissioner Delaney?
I would like to move to change the zoning classification from GU and BU2 to all BU2.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Delaney. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes, we'll show that passes 4-0. Okay, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, congratulations. Okay, we will move into,
Those were H11s. I think they ended, they were handed to us maybe.
12, I think.
I don't see.
okay. I think we got a card on H11 after we took the item up. What should I do with that one, Morris?
If the card came in after you took the item up, the board has already acted on it. If you didn't have the card at the time, there's nothing you can do about that.
Okay.
The card needs to be in before the item's heard.
All right. Okay.
But I would let the individual know if they're still here and waiting, maybe.
Is there Sean Chase who's still here? Okay. Very good. Okay. Let's move into H12.
Item H12, adoption of a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment under application number 24 LS 00001, 24-04 ACSC regarding the Brevard Barrier Island Area, BBIA, as a new element to the comprehensive plan under the state coordinated review process.
Okay. Questions? Sir? Commissioner Goodson.
Billy, can you tell us, what is the purpose of doing this?
The Brevard Barrier Island Protection Act was a law that was passed by the legislature. It creates an area of critical state concern in the South Beaches. This is one of the steps that is required under that law and under the area critical state concern process is to implement it in our comprehensive plan. So it effectively implements the guiding principles contained in the Brevard Barrier Island Protection Act.
Okay, Sheriff, may I?
Yes, sir.
Now, could you tell me, are you increasing density?
Absolutely not, Commissioner. In fact, this reinforces existing policies that prohibit residential density increases in the area.
And, Sheriff, may I?
Yes, sir.
Then this is going to go back to the state for state approval, right?
Yes, sir. This, if the board were to adopt this, it would go to Florida Commerce for review.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Billy.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, we do have 4 cards. Sandra Sullivan.
Good evening, Sandra Sullivan. So this is the first area of critical concern in the state in 45 years. It's a tremendous accomplishment. I do have 2 small issues with it that I would like to see corrected. We do have some time that as the county got an extension until September that this could be done. The first one is that the level of service standard for evacuation is not explicitly stated, and the county's intent to make it a variable does not meet the state statute definition of a standard to not exceed. So that's the first concern that I would like to see. That is the most probably critical for evacuation, because there's one way out. The bridge to the south floods pre-landfall when it's a wet event, and you got 30 miles to drive to get out of there. So that's the first one. And then the second issue has to do with a statement made by the Planning and Zoning Director when issues came up at the Planning and Zoning Board about saying that the future land use is a property right. And so I have a copy here that I'll give you after I'm done talking, where under Brevard County 2101 ECR, the staff report, this was a section on property rights, and the state wrote back and said DEO recommends that prior to adoption, the ordinance be revised to remove the reference to the amendment being applicable to the future land use element of the comprehensive plan and to clearly reference the property rights element as its own standalone element. And so the staff had agreed that, who indicated that the original intent was to treat property right elements as a standalone element and agreed to revise the draft ordinance prior to adoption. So I want to give you that. I think this is of importance because HB 180 passed this week, as you know, and you cannot go back after and revisit it and make a comprehensive plan more restrictive. So either we make this change now, or you're not going to be able to make this change in the future based on what I'm reading of HB 180. So I'll give you a copy of this letter from the conversation with DEO.
She still has some. Is that it, Sandra?
Yeah.
Okay.
Morris, could you explain to the board in reference to what you just heard about the HB bill and all that? Or help me out.
I can only assume she's referring to SB 180, which did lock in the ability to make a comprehensive plan amendment or other land development regulation that's more restrictive. However, that's already applicable. That was retroactively applicable, so it already applies. Doing something now doesn't take us out from under that. But there is an exception for the areas of critical state concern, as long as it's processed through the state process that we've gone through with the transmittal, receiving the comments back from Commerce, and what we're doing now. So everything that we're doing here is perfectly in accordance with SB 180. However, if we were to try to do something more restrictive than what's required of the area of critical state concern legislation, we would almost certainly be afoul of SB 180. So, so I would disagree with the idea that you can start adding things now at this point that aren't substantially consistent with what was reviewed and approved with the transmittal.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, we still have some cards. Okay, Mary Spar.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Mary Spar, and I'm representing Sierra Club Turtle Coast Group. Sierra Club totally supports adoption of the BBIA amendment, as is tonight. This amendment is extremely important for adequate protection of habitat and coastal resources. After the BBIA amendment is accepted by Florida Commerce, work on the LDRs can begin. However, there may be some improvements that would need a future comp plan amendment to provide the legal basis for corresponding ordinance provisions. Such future amendments would be considered substantial changes at this time, so they can't be part of the amendments to hopefully be adopted tonight. We believe that there is one particular substantial change that needs to be considered in the future, hopefully in the next amendment cycle. What's needed is a policy for the BBIA outlawing a change of BBI residential land use designations to BBIA commercial land use designations. In other words, a change of intensity of land use, something mentioned multiple times during the transmittal phase. We are just getting a little more specific and asking for no changes from residential to commercial land use. This would prevent changing BBIA residential land use designations to BBIA commercial to allow the building of hotels. This possible future improvement would also prevent changes residential to commercial land use and zoning to allow a large multifamily affordable housing project under the state's Live Local Act, and prevent changing residential to commercial, getting PUD zoning, and then taking advantage of the fact that a residential component of a PUD, can have a density greater than the original residential designations pursuant to policy FLU 2.11 of the future land use element. When we know this is very complicated, and this is why we're asking you to ask staff tonight, like now, to whether they think it's a reasonable idea to look very carefully at such a possible future amendment. In other words, ask them whether they'd be okay in taking a hard look at this kind of amendment, and then after that, decide whether they would support it. In short, we would like to have staff put this idea on their radar screen for future consideration. Now, even if people think certain kinds of unwise development can't happen in an environmentally sensitive area, it never hurts to head off such a possibility in the first place. I've seen a lot of unexpected changes over the past 55 years in Brevard County. So in conclusion, Sierra Club is asking you to adopt the BBI amendment now, and also to ask staff to consider a carefully worded policy prohibiting this specific intensity change in their next comp plan update. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Laura Wilson.
Hi, thank you. I'm Laura Wilson. I'm Executive Director of Marine Resources Council. We're an environmental nonprofit dedicated to protecting and restoring the Indian River Lagoon. I want to echo and support comments made previously by both the Sierra Club and the Sea Turtle Conservancy regarding agenda item H12. I support the recommendation of low-impact development practices and the attention given to living shorelines within the revisions of the BBIA, particularly in policies BBIA 5.6 through 5.9 that encourage the Commission to adopt the amendment. Low-impact development and consideration of where our stormwater go are of the utmost importance for both our beaches and our lagoon, especially in light of future development and redevelopment. The application of LID to redevelopment specifically has not been widely highlighted in land development codes or ordinances across the county and beyond. LID, green infrastructure, and nature-based solutions all strive to do the same thing, of mitigating water where it falls, rather than having it run off and become a problem somewhere else or for someone else to deal with. These techniques can help mitigate the effects of storms and flooding. They help municipalities reach their BMAP targets while also minimizing pollution within our waterways. While there are larger issues that can be addressed within the next comp plan, as just mentioned, the current amendment is a good step towards growing a healthier Brevard through cleaner water within our waterways. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Dolores Conway.
Good evening. Dolores Conway, 123 Cardinal Drive, Melbourne Beach. I want to thank you all, commissioners, staff, for all the hard work you did on this amendment. We really appreciate it. I just have one question. On policy BBIA 1.4, in the very beginning, the objectives for BBIA 2 through 11 are written down, but 12 is left out. I just wanted to ask if BBIA 12 could be added at the end of that. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone have that question? No?
Would
Okay.
you like me to answer that, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the reason why BBIA 2 through 11 are specifically mentioned in 1.4 is those were expressly based on the guiding principles in the law. BBIA 12 was a result of the outreach meeting we had, and it was very clear that people were very concerned about density, and so we tried to address that in the element by adding a different policy, or an objective, I should say. However, there is not a specific guiding principle it's tied to, so that's why that's not in there.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Any follow-up? Okay. Commissioners, that's the end of the cards. Any discussion on the item? Commissioner Atkinson.
So I haven't been involved with this from the very beginning, but certainly from the middle. And to all the people out there who have worked to make this what it is, thank you. But as we have discussed, myself and staff and everybody else, it's not done, right? We need to get it transmitted, and then we need to have a relook at some of the things, the unexpected things, the unintended consequences. So it's not the end, and I have total support from staff and their willingness to sit down and relook at some of this stuff once we get this done. So if there's no other discussion, I would make a motion to approve.
So second.
If I may, excuse me, Commissioner, I have a suggestion from our consultant sitting behind me that we include in the motion the authority to make corrections to Scrivener's errors and the like before sending to the state.
So moved with that in it.
Okay, Commissioner Atkinson amends her motion to include correcting Scrivener's errors. I have a second by Commissioner Goodson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney?
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson?
Yes.
Chairman Feltner?
Yes, and we'll show that passes 4-0. Okay, Commissioners, let's do this. Let's take a 5-minute break, and we're going to come back on H13, okay? Okay, let's go on, or we're on H13. Lucky number.
Item H13, adoption of the evaluation and appraisal review, EAR-based amendments to the comprehensive plan under application 24 LS 00002, 24-03 ER under the state coordinated review process established by section 163.3184 Florida statutes.
Okay, commissioners, let's, we do have some cards, but let's go on to questions. Let's start with questions. Are there questions for staff? All right.
I just have one, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yep.
Is anything in here different from the P&Z meeting?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Commissioner?
Sure. Was anything in here different from what was approved at the P&Z meeting?
I believe there was once, so there was a change to reference the capital improvement element for the potable water and some Scrivener's error changes.
Okay. And none of those were considered substantial changes or anything like that?
No, there was nothing of substance change at all.
Thank you. That was it.
Okay, other questions for staff before we go to the cards? No? Okay, Sandra Sullivan.
Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores.
We're about to see a homeowner insurance tsunami. I'm very worried.
So, biggest concern with the comp plan changes is what the impact will be to insurance. As we saw, just with a little bit of rain, last couple of days, we had flooding. And of course, so what's the impact of these changes going to mean to increasing flooding from taking away the limitation of density on the floodplain and increasing density on the barrier island by 2- and 3-fold. So in front of you, you have the local mitigation strategy map, and the two big flood areas are Zone A and AE. And so as you can see, Brevard has a lot of yellow and a lot of red, particularly up in District 1 and District 3 have the most impact of wetlands. And so yellow and red are flood areas. So when you develop on the wetlands and you fill them in, just a simple diagram to make it easy to understand, the water's got to go somewhere and you have flooding. So here's an article that I've given you that talks about how 4 Florida counties rank in the top 10 most at risk for flooding in 2024. So Brevard is listed as 10th in the nation for flooding and 4th in Florida. And yet, in our comp plan changes, you are removing the density limitation on the riverine floodplain. In my community on a barrier island, just with a rain event, not even a hurricane, we have quite a bit of flooding. And what that means in the hurricane evacuation plans is you can't get out on State Road 513 and you have to take A1A, so you back it up. And of course, you have the issue of storm surge, 9+ feet in our area and 13 up in Merritt Island. So by your state statute, you're supposed to protect human life. These changes of doubling and tripling the density on the barrier island and removing the density limitation on the floodplain. You have not done any studies to what the potential impact and what this will cost the county, just even from a fiscal perspective. But the potential loss of life mass casualty event that you will be created is an additional liability concern for the county, or should be. So part of my concern is previously we were mandated by the state, and the county said that they capped the residential densities for the unincorporated areas in northern and coastal Barrier Island at existing areas. That was in 2000. Well, that letter was written in 2001. And it's like from what I see in the comp plan, history is being written to where it's not factual, where they're saying that the right-sizing study was actually to maximize density. And in fact, it reduced Res 30 in the future land use map down to Res 15. I don't understand how in good conscience any of you up there can increase the density up in Merritt Island and Myra to Res 50 with bonus density from Res 15 and to Res 37.5 in the rest of the Barrier Island, except for the BBIA, and putting all of our lives at risk. How are you going to fund widening causeways? I don't know. Our lives matter, and the comp plan needs to be changed. And the sad reality is, after today, you take a vote to transmit this. With Senate Bill 180, you can't make the comp plan more restrictive from what I'm reading. Don't Brevard, don't high-rise it, because what it's going to look like at Res 50, that's over 200 feet, high-rises. That looks like South Florida. What you're doing in my area, that's going to be 160 feet. Our lives matter. And it's pretty disgusting what you're doing. And then, God forbid, insurance and what it's going to mean to people. If you could, the first place dropped is the Barrier Island. Will we be even able to get insurance?
Ruth Amato.
I have never used this before. Can I try?
Dawn, would you be able to lend her a hand? No, I think she's...
There we go. Okay. Hi, Ruth Amato, a resident of Mims, 1950 Tomato Farm Road. I come before you tonight as a farming family from 125 years on the same location in Mims. Talk about change, because I can talk about 125 years of it. My family farms that land. My family used to grow orange trees out there. You can't grow orange trees out there. It will be underwater. So I come to you and I beg you, please do not increase the density on the floodplain. We can't make it. We can't take your stormwater anymore. The St. Johns River narrows on the other side of Lake Harney with extremely high bluffs. So it doesn't matter how much stormwater you pump into that river. When it hits the north side of Lake Harney, it's only going to flow out at a certain speed, and you can't speed that up. It becomes a bottleneck, and then it starts expanding its floodplain all over our land, as you can see it's already doing. We can't take it. So you sit up there today and you hold our lives in your hands. The people who feed you, I beg of you, please don't do it.
Mary Spark.
Hello again, I'm Mary Spar, and I'm representing Sierra Club Turtle Coast Group. Sierra Club asks you to adopt the ear-based amendments tonight as part of a periodic process to update the comprehensive plan language. We were hoping for more changes to strengthen some of the coastal management element policies, especially a few dealing with flood-prone areas and one dealing with the coastal setback line. Unfortunately, time has run out. But there is a next time. And we hope you'll ask staff to consider strengthening these coastal management policies with a comp plan amendment in the future. Coastal management element policies originally formed the basis of the BBIA amendments for flood-prone areas and for the coastal setback line. In other words, some coastal management element policies were the original starting point for corresponding BBIA amendment, BBIA policies. Now, what happened is that Florida Commerce flagged some weak language in the BBIA transmittal, that was in November, in their ORC report. The state didn't like some of the shoulds instead of shalls. And they didn't like the fact that there was no specific timeline for reevaluating the effectiveness of the coastal setback line. To address the state's concern, staff fixed up the weak language in the BBIA, and they really did an excellent job. But the state overlooked the exact same problems in the coastal management element. So staff has not yet fixed key coastal management policies. We want the problematic policies in the coastal management element to be reasonably consistent with the excellent new BBIA flood and coastal setback line policies. Maybe not quite as strong as BBA policies, but at least a bit more consistent. And please note that Florida statute Chapter 163.31772 states, coordination of the several elements of the local comprehensive plan shall be a major objective of the planning process. The several elements of the comprehensive plan shall be consistent. To sum this all up, Sierra Club is hoping that you will ask staff to consider in a future comp plan cycle stronger coastal management element language for flooding and for evaluation of the coastal setback line. We support adopting the EAR amendment now, and we'd like you to ask staff to put stronger coastal management policies on their to-do list for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thea Beth Thorne.
Hi, my name is Thea Thorne. I live in the subdivision of Quailhaven and Mims. Who I am is not important, but my message is. We the people, which I'm sure you all are aware, that's the first three words to the United States Constitution. We the people, a very important phrase. We the people say no to a change to the comprehensive plan. The flooding that occurred in Mims on Tuesday was epic. There was water that intruded into people's houses. Our land itself, we're built up high, so we have no issues except the periphery. And the water that we had in our periphery, I put my wading boots on, it was up to my knees. And that is usually hurricane water. We have never seen that amount of water in a short amount of time. So it's very unusual. Something needs to be done with the drainage, of course. But how can you build, you're changing the density, you want to go on the floodplains. What's that going to do to the flooding that we already have now? That needs to be fixed before you can even think about going forward. To me, it is unacceptable, and it's pure negligence to we the people. And I want to read something from Thomas Paine, one of our great patriots. A constitution is not the act of a government, but of a people constituting a government. And government without a constitution is power without a right. All power exercised over a nation must have some beginning. It must be either delegated or assumed. There are not other sources. All delegated power is trust, and all assumed power is usurpation. Time does not alter the nature and the quality of either. Our founders were not all Christians, but they all had a respect and a reverence to the Bible. And that is why they put many of the principles of the Bible into our United States Constitution. A group of godless people cannot make it work. And I hope that each of you can find the conviction in your hearts, souls, and minds to be people of character, though that seems to be few and far between today. So will you be a good leader or a bad leader? The choice is up to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was the end of the cards, Commissioners. We're in discussion. Commissioner Delaney.
Like Commissioner Atkinson mentioned when she was speaking on the BBIA, we unfortunately didn't get to be part of the entire process with this. And I'm not going to lie, I had a 2-hour briefing in preparation for this meeting because I really do have a lot of concerns. But with that being said, my main concern is the floodplain areas objective Con 4. And what I'm asking that we consider, and I guess before I bring up my request, I contacted Florida Commerce and the St. Johns River Water Management to talk to them about what does it mean, what do substantial changes mean? And both of those entities were clear with me when they said that language that was already in our comp plan but has been struck and us changing our minds and putting it back in would not be considered a substantial change, and they wouldn't have any issues with that. So what my request is that on policy Con 4.1A1, that we keep that language in there for the residential density. For B1, again, keep that language in there for the residential density. And then C2, that we keep that in there for the residential density. And the reason why I'm requesting this is because my community, like some of the speakers had mentioned, we're very unique, not just in our land and the type of land we have up in North Brevard, but our culture in North Brevard is very different from the rest of the county. We have people who feed themselves by what they can grow on their land, what cattle they can raise, their chickens, so on and so forth. And that land is unfortunately getting destroyed. And so I'm extremely concerned that if we get rid of these density restrictions, that people are going to lose everything. And so I would just make that one request, and I would be comfortable moving forward with this if we could do that.
Commissioner Goodson, I see you reaching.
Question, Billy. We're back to density now, so are we raising the density by doing this?
No, this policy is a little different, and Darcy's here to speak it more specifically, but the idea here, the idea behind the changes we've proposed is to go performance-based. So you follow the best available data. So rather than have, this is density beyond what's in our typical future land use map and things like that, these are additional restrictions. Rather than go the route by having like a specific the language like it had before, residential density shall be limited to no more than 2 dwelling units per acre, for example. You follow the data instead. So you may be more, I won't say more restrictive, but it may be harder to do a particular development without doing compensatory storage or things like that, or it may be easier depending on the facts on the ground. And Darcy here would be more ability, but from what I understand, that's the purpose of that amendment.
Okay.
If I could just mention what areas I'm talking about. It's not so much the areas of inside the cities, like for instance in Rockledge or some of these other areas. My main concern are for the areas that are west of 95 on the outskirts of the community. I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, is there other discussion on the item?
If I may, Commissioner,
Okay.
I apologize. I just have
That's all
a
right.
correction to an answer I gave Commissioner Delaney earlier. There was an additional policy that was changed. It was based on a discussion we had about the commercial mining. That was backed out. So now the definition is as previously stated, which is mining.
Is there other discussion on the item? Is there a motion on the item?
I would like to make a motion to approve with getting rid of the strikeouts on policy con 4.1 A1, B1, and C2.
Okay. Is there a second on that? Okay, we'll show that fails from lack of a second. Is there another motion on the item?
If I could, Logan, if you wouldn't mind bringing up my slides. So I put this together just to show you guys what we're dealing with in North Brevard. If you could kind of slowly go through them. This is what we deal with on a pretty regular basis in North Brevard. This is 10 inches of water. You'll see that on the... This is not a normal issue. And if we build on the floodplain in Mims and Scottsmore, people are going to lose their homes. And we are going to become the next Volusia and Edgewater, who are purchasing people's homes because they're getting flooded out. This is not normal. And I am pleading with you all to please consider this. Look, if you could pause right here. This is somebody's farm. If you can't have cattle in that situation. You can't have horses in that situation. They get hoof rot and they have to get put down. I know of a constituent where they literally had to rescue their chickens because they were up on top of their coop because there was feet of water. I'm not being dramatic here. The pictures are right there. They are from this week. And if we start developing the floodplain in North Brevard, this is going to radically affect people's lives. So I'm asking that this can't be undone with the language that came from the state. Once we do this, we can't undo it.
Is there other discussion on the item? Ma'am, we have finished with the comment cards. And we appreciate your comments earlier. Okay. All right. Is there another motion on the item? Okay, commissioners.
I'd like to make a motion to table this item. We have time to September, and so I would like to make that motion.
Okay. Let's ask staff real quick. What does that do for us and what we need to send to the state?
Commissioner's correct. We do have until, I believe it's September 22nd, so in that period to adopt. There was a previous extension.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Tad?
So my understanding in tabling this item would also cause the BBIA to be tabled in its transmittal to the state, because they both have to go together as one legislative package.
Is there a reason that the BBIA has got to go in the next 2 weeks? Or what's the time limit on that? Just so the board knows.
It has the same time limit. The impact on that would simply be the implementing regulations would be pushed back too.
Okay. No, just to be clear, we voted on that, and so whether it's sent in 2 weeks or 30 days, the board did pass that.
Right, it wouldn't have to come back to the board. It
Okay.
just wouldn't be transmitted now.
Oh, it doesn't go in the mail tomorrow. Is that the short of it? Does that change your motion? Your second, Commissioner? No. Okay. All right. We have a motion by Commissioner.
Hold on one second,
Okay.
though. There is, so after the board has voted on adoption, how long do we have to transmit to the state between, I know we have until September 11th now, but now that they've acted on it, there's a fuse running, right?
But we just approved that area of critical state concern, and you only have 10 days.
Oh, then I withdraw.
To send it to the state, so
Yeah.
it would affect it.
So you wouldn't have to hear it again, but it does have to be sent within 10 days of your adoption, the BBIA. And because it has to accompany the EAR, that means we need to act on the EAR within.
We can't send one without the other. What's that?
We were expressly told by the chief over there that they need them both together.
Then I have to withdraw my second.
If I could just go into a little bit more discussion, the changes that I'm requesting with removing the strikeouts and these things, this affects very little areas. And it doesn't mean that we can't change it or tweak it, and I'm open and willing to do that once we pass this, because I don't want to hold up the BBIA. That's an extremely important thing that we definitely need to get up there. But I just really feel like the whole story was not really looked at when these changes were made. And like Billy has told us multiple times, we can make changes in the future, and I'm open and willing to work together as a board to do that. Because one of the issues that we had talked about in my briefing was there was a property on Plucky Bomb, and they couldn't build because it was within the county and our restrictions, so they annexed. And so this change was to help solve the problem of properties annexing into cities, or being required to annex into cities if they want to develop. And which there's very few circumstances where that happens because of the floodplain issue. And the damage that it would do to my community if we get rid of this, I personally feel like outweigh those few circumstances.
I have a question eventually.
Okay, I think we have a follow-up question. Commissioner Atkinson.
So Commissioner Delaney mentioned that her concern that once, if this is transmitted as it is, that it can't be changed later, that her concerns can't be addressed. Can you speak to that, Billy?
Well, unfortunately, and I'll defer to Morris, but there is truth to that because of the SB 180 regulations. I think once you take this language out, to put it back in would probably be considered a more restrictive regulation, even though the intent may not be the intent, but it would be hard to argue anything else, I think. I don't know.
I thought SB 180 was retroactive, though, anyways.
So SB 180 is in effect right now. We can't do something that's more restrictive unless an exception applies, like the exception for areas of critical state concern that allowed us to do what we did with the BBIA. This one's an odd gray one because we're not saying, right now, for example, in some areas there's a residential density cap in the existing comp plan of 2 units per acre, for example. By replacing that with a performance standard, you're not saying, we're increasing this now to 10 units per acre. So it's hard to say absolutely that one is more restrictive or less restrictive than the other because it comes down to an application of the specifics of an individual property. But generally speaking, yes, if you move away from those hard caps that are currently in the code that are just kind of arbitrary is not the right word, but they're uniform. It's just no more than X units per acre. Once you move away from those under 180, probably very difficult to re-implement exactly that. But that said, the performance standard as applied could end up being more restrictive in some cases. It's you just have to look at the particular facts of the area where you're applying it.
I have more pictures where I could show you guys water lines in some of the areas that Ms. Amato was talking about where they're 10, 14 feet high on palm trees.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Can I make my same motion?
I don't think I think you
Procedurally?
withdrew it. She withdrew her second on that. So you can make the motion and see if there's a second, I guess, since Commissioner Atkinson withdrew that.
I'd like to make a motion to pass the comp plan with the changes to Objective Con 4, Policy 4.1A1, B1, and C2.
All right, is there a second on that? No, okay. All right, is there an alternative motion on the item? Do we want to table this and to the 22nd? Is that possible? We still have time to send the BBIA? Could we do that? I mean, we could
if we continue the open public hearing now to the 22nd. This is advertised properly, so as long as you do it here, I don't think we need to renotice. I think that same reasoning is applicable under 163 through 184, but I'm looking at the consultant to tell me if that's wrong. And we have 10 working days, right? Not just 10 days, so 10 working days. Yes, you can continue this hearing on the adoption of the EAR to your meeting on the 22nd.
What's the pleasure of the board on that issue?
I'll make that motion to continue to the 22nd.
All right. I have a motion by Commissioner Delaney to continue to the 22nd. I have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney?
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson?
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. All right, we'll show that 4-0. We'll continue it to the 22nd. Now,
Hang on, Chair, there might be a problem here.
let's do this. Let's just take 5 minutes. Well, do we need?
Hang on, we got a timeout.
May we have a few minutes to consider some legal issues involved?
Yeah,
with-
give us some time here. This was unanticipated, and our meeting is a 9 o'clock meeting on the 22nd. That may be a problem because there's certain hearing requirements. This may be one that has to be held after 5 p.m. So even though you commenced it at 5 tonight, don't think you're going to be able to continue it to another meeting that's, doesn't also start at 5. So let's
To a
verify
morning
that.
meeting?
But if you
Okay.
can give us just a few minutes to
All right. Well, let's do
consult
that.
and get that,
Let's
because
just
there
take
are several different provisions at issue
Let's
here.
just take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back on this item. Thank you. Maybe he went on break too. That's okay. All right. All right. Commissioners, to just continue this discussion here, I think we need a motion to take it off the table.
I would like to make a motion to take it off the table.
Okay.
That would be bring it back up, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. A motion by Commissioner Delaney. To further discussion?
I have a question.
Okay.
So is there, can we move it to the next meeting or not? You were talking more something about timing?
Yeah, because there's some requirements. Certain meetings have to be held at a meeting after 5 p.m., but in this case, we're okay. We've already had one evening meeting on the transmittal, and there's not a specific requirement in this statute requiring this to be done at night. But off the top of my head, I wasn't sure of that, so I wanted to verify and not get us in a situation where we couldn't do that at 9. That said, I think there may be a potential motion that might resolve this tonight if the board's interested in taking it off the table and giving that an effort, but it's the board's pleasure.
I would be willing to amend my motion to continue with this change, excluding west of 95, 520 North, if I could get support by the board.
I think staff would be agreeable to that, but for the board to even discuss that,
Right.
you'd have to agree to take the item off the table, and there's a motion to do that, but no
Okay.
second at the
I
time.
second that.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Delaney to take it off the table. We have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll on that motion.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. Okay. Commissioners, we're back on the item. Now, it's okay. That's what they say in Tallahassee, right? We're back on the item. And Commissioner Delaney, I think you were just speaking to an alternative motion. We'll entertain that.
I would like to make a motion to pass this and to exclude west of 95, north of 520 for Policy Con 4.1, A1, B1, C2.
Okay, we're clear on the motion? Is there a second on that motion?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson, seconds. Clerk, sir?
Question. Staff, Billy, tell me, with her motion, Commissioner Delaney's, how is that going to affect people west of there and north of here and over here to the right?
So they would have, the other changes that are being made to the policies would still be in effect, but in addition to that, the existing language expressly limiting density in the 100-year, 25-year, and 10-year riverine floodplain will also still be in effect in that specific area.
But west of 95 would not be affected, correct? Is that correct, Commissioner? Right?
Do you mean east of 95?
West of 95 would not be affected by your motion, correct?
West
No.
of
West of
95, north of 520 North would keep these restrictions.
So are you familiar with Tucker Lane and Plucky Bomb?
Yes,
That parcel annexed into Rockledge,
correct.
which would be a Rockledge issue, not a county issue. That's okay. I think that this thing needs to be studied a little bit more, and staff needs to come back, because you're affecting people, a lot of people that might have owned land for 100 years, that might want to develop it, even though they'd have to mitigate it or do whatever. Is that fair to our constituents? Is that fair to our county?
With
And
all
of
due
course, I
respect,
would want to see this on a map, so I know what I was voting on, but, you've got a motion, you got a second, so I hear you, but I can't vote for this.
with all due respect, these are my constituents.
Okay.
We all have constituents, madam, I understand that.
All right.
But, also Cocoa, you were talking MEMS, now you're down into Cocoa, so therefore I would want to see it on a map that I knew what I was voting for.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
No.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. Okay, we'll show that passes 3-0.
Good.
Okay, commissioners, we're going to move into the G portion, public comment. Sandra Sullivan. Or I'm sorry, not the G portion, the K portion, I'm sorry.
When a hurricane hits, and it will, and there's mass casualty, I hope there's a class action suit for what you did today, doubling and tripling the density on the barrier island and misrepresenting in this comprehensive plan, changing history. And it's documented in black and white. Yeah, shake your head. You know, I did records requests, Mr. Morris, for the document from the 2000B, and they said, no records found. So I sent them the document. It's pretty clear. There's enough letters that I've read here, giving you copies of it, that the intention was to cap the barrier island. That was the mandate from the state. But it's okay to high-rise the barrier island when we can't get people off. It's okay, apparently, not to change the level of service standard, a standard to not exceed as written in state statute, a standard to not exceed for evacuation. I had a letter from the Florida Department of Commerce that said you can't put live local on the barrier island if that number is exceeded. Oh, interesting. We now have a level of service now that is a variable that you can never exceed because it's based on whatever the data is that is updated every 2 years by the Eastern Central Regional Planning Council. So our lives don't matter. Our deaths on the barrier island don't matter. When hundreds of people or more die, way more, and you guys haven't even done due diligence to know what this is going to cost Brevard County. What is it going to cost when you add all that density and height out on the barrier island? What is it going to cost for you for new causeways and all that? Because it's not in planning. Somebody said something here that's in planning. You got 528 that's in planning. You got 520 that was just added this year in planning. You got 528, and no, not 520. You got 528 and Pineda that is in planning now. I was like shocked on Pineda because of the 3 causeways, that's the least of the capacity. You got 520 that's over 100% capacity. It's like, and it has resiliency issues. So the issue is for the barrier island is pre-landfall. Yeah, turn your head, look up into space, Mr. Goodson. That's really respectful. I'm right here. Okay. The issue is when we have a wet storm event, when we have a storm event, a hurricane, and it rains pre-landfall, which it does, not every hurricane, we can't get people off the barrier island. I showed you the flooding. Your own studies show you can't get it off. You've done no fiscal analysis. You're going to put a lot more density on the floodplain. And you're going to change that floodplain, and you've not done the studies to know the impacts. The people, we the people, don't matter, because this is clear. This is all about we the money and special interests. That's what it's about. You have spoken volumes today. We don't matter.
Okay, we're going to move into board reports. Tad, in board report.
No report, sir.
Okay, Morris.
No report, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Goodson.
None, Chair.
Commissioner Atkinson. No report. We don't have Commissioner Altman. Commissioner Delaney.
No report.
Okay. We appreciate that tonight. Okay, all right. Okay, I think we're done, everybody. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Take care.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.